Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's GeneralTarheel, your coach to Charlotte Charizards, bringing you the APA Season 3 Week 2 battle of first coach LynxForte Dan, or Dan K Memes, and the Chelsea Cloysters. Coming into Week 2, we did pick up a win last week against Coach Sleepy Night 77 or Kyle and the Montreal Toucannadiens. Make sure to check that out if you haven't yet. Lando T put in the work versus him, and it was a very nice battle. Now, as for Week 2, when we are facing Dan, Dan has, in my opinion, the best draft in the entire league. If you did not see the Commissioner draft recap video, I really suggest you watch it. It's basically us getting a short analysis of our favorite or top 3 teams of the entire league. And mine was Dan for the overall favorite, and I'm just going to throw it on the board and just explain why. His draft right there, and then my draft on the other side. Of course, if you don't remember my team, it is Lando T, Mega Charizard X, Toxapex, Togekiss, Cobalion, Greninja, Electros, Gourgeist, Komala, Piloswine, and Alakazam, with the Z-Mons being Landorus, Therian, and Cobalion. Now for Dan's team, he does have Mega Lopunny, Sylveon, Latias, Crocodile, Empoleon, Gengar, Murdermo, Talonflame, Cryogonal, Regirock, and Staraptor. Now, in his 2 Z users being Gengar and Talonflame. The reason I love Dan's draft so much is that Mega Lopunny plus Bird Spam. That is insanely scary from a physical standpoint. And then he has amazing special attackers in Latias, Sylveon, and Gengar. He has Defog on half his team, being Rotom-Mow, Latias, Talonflame, Cryogonal with also Spin, and he also has Staraptor, as well as Empoleon. And he has amazing Rock Sitters in Empoleon, Crocodile, Regirock. It's ridiculous. Like, this man's just got an amazing team. The only thing is that it just like doesn't have any spikes or toxic spikes, but like other than that, this is amazing. It's strong setup in like Power Punch, Lopunny, Calm Mind, Latias, as well as, you know, Scarf, Moxie, Crook technically counts as setup sweep, and then even like SD, Talonflame, and stuff like that. So his team is very strong and very scary. More so the Bird Spam for my team, being so my team or my Steel type is Cobalion. So when I was looking at his team, I wasn't so scared of Mega Lopunny, but I still have to prep for it, of course, because it is Mega Lopunny. Because I do have Intimidate, Lando T, Bulky Toxapex, and then Togekiss in order to take that on very well. And other things, Latias Calm Mind is actually kind of a problem for me. Sylveon I can deal with pretty easily. Crocodile is a great mon. I could see it coming just to be an Intimidate annoyance, but at the same time, its matchup is only decent. Empoleon, very solid. It can take on Gren pretty well from a special defensive point of view, as well as my Alakazam, so it's definitely a possibility for it coming. Rotom-Mow is a definite threat to my team, being able to take care of Togekiss, and then Toxapex with the electric, and then of course having the grass coverage just helps the first any ground type Rotom-Mow has to face, which makes it a very viable electric type. Talonflame as well, part of the Bird Spam with Staraptor. Both of those are very scary. I was expecting at least one of them, if not both. I was definitely going to have to be careful with around them, just like spamming Brave Bird and whatnot. And then Cryogonal, I wasn't so much expecting it to come, but if you brought it, it'd probably be like Dual Springs or just like Rapid Spin or something of the sort. And then lastly, Regirock. I knew for a fact Regirock was going to come because it is a direct wall to my Mega Charizard X, and it's actually very annoying because it basically gets free rocks at first me. So when I was team building, knowing all of this, I did have to work around a few things, but in my opinion, it worked out pretty well. I have a deal similar to last week where I had dual Scarfs. This time I have dual Rocky Helmet with 2 Pokemon, which I'm going to go over first. This was my direct answer to his physical attackers in Lopunny and then the Bird Spam. It could also be used against Crocodile if I feared it a little bit, but more so it was leaning towards the Bird Spam and Mega Lopunny. First off, I did have a defensive Lando T. This had 212 HP, 188 defense, and then like 92 attack adamant or whatever, with a Rocky Helmet Intimidate. It did have Stealth Rock, Earthquake, U-Turn, and Rock Slide. Basically, Earthquake and Rock Slide hit majority of his team, and then U-Turn if I just needed to switch out, like preferably against the Rotom-Mow. Sorry for my voice. And then Stealth Rocks because it's very nice versus team, because one, it gets rid of Talonflames. I don't even remember. Its ability is just so irrelevant now in Gen 7. Its priority flying type moves at full health or whatever. Gale Wings, that's it. So it just ignores that and it brings it down to 50%. And even then, I'm limiting his flying types coming out and just clicking Brave Bird over and over again. He does have decent momentum in like Talonflame, Rotom-Mow, Baton Pass with like Sylveon or Mega Lopunny, so it's very important for me to get up Stealth Rocks at the same time. So Lando is definitely going to be important for that reason. U-Turn also just giving me momentum versus team, considering his switch-ins versus Lando are decent, but not the best at the same time. And then next up to go with the other Rocky Helmet user was Toxapex. This Toxapex was just about max defense. It did have some Speed F in order to live certain hits from Gengar, I believe. Maybe a Specs Psyshock from Sylveon or something of the sort. I don't know. Well, Psyshock's defensive. Toxapex had Regenerated Rocky Helmet, of course, with Recover, Scald, Haze, and Toxic. Toxic was just really to wear down his team. He had very good hazard removers, so Toxapex was irrelevant. He has a lot of Pokemon that are off the ground anyways, such as his flying types and Latias and Rotom, so Toxic just seemed a lot more helpful for me. And of course Haze, because he has a decent amount of setup, not a lot, but he can set up if you wanted to. And then Scald, of course, just to at least wear some things down and whatnot. And then next up, I wanted to go with my Charizard. Charizard, it had a good Dragon Dance matchup once Regirock was gone, but that was only once Regirock was gone. I had a pretty offensive Charizard, not much bulk invested. I had Dragon Dance, Protect, Flare Blitz, and Dragon Claw. Basically, the Protect, one allowed me to get my Mega off turn 1, because Rotom, if he brought it, I needed to lead Charizard turn 1 and get off a Protect, or just scout for damage or anything of the sort if I wanted to, just to be able to be a counter to Rotom. 2, Protect was also if I got a D-Dance up, Mega Lopunny could not fake out me down. It was really just Charizard 1 at the end game if Regirock was already taken care of. And of course having its stabs just to destroy the entire team. And then next up is the actual main Pokemon that I decided to aim around when like sweeping with his team, and that was Cobalion. Cobalion was really nice versus his team. It had Rock Polish, Swords Dance, Iron Head, Close Combat with the Steel Z. Steel Z just allowed me to get a for sure kill on either Gengar without my Swords Dance, or if I do get my +2 speed and SD, then I can knock out Latias and stuff like that, which is very nice. Fortunately, I do not do much to Talonflame, but that's why I do have rocks with Lando T, so if I can keep those up and maybe get some, well, if I do get the rocks up, I'm pretty sure it will die to a +2 close combat, and if it doesn't, it would after some Brave Bird chip, so I'm not really too worried about it. And I do have those Rocky Helmet users in the back, specifically for that reason, to wear down his Pokemon. And then next up, I decided to bring Togekiss. Togekiss was a pretty Speed-F bulky Togekiss in order to help me versus the Latias, which was a major threat. I decided to have Encore, Roost, Defog, and Air Slash. Defog because hazards were going to be annoying with Regirock. He could basically get them up every single time versus my Charizard and whatnot. And it was just going to be a problem for me at times, I feel like. So I definitely feel like Defog was needed. Roost, of course, for longevity, and Air Slash just to be able to have coverage. And I decided to put Encore in order to deal with Calm Mind Latias. Basically, I could keep it in Calm Mind, and then I could either go into Greninja and go for my Dark Pulse, which I haven't even mentioned yet, spoilers, but or I could go into Cobalion and try setup if I get him into Calm Mind, or I can go into Charizard and set up D-Dances if Regirock is already weakened or taken care of. And lastly is Greninja. Greninja had a amazing matchup. It was a mix attack Greninja with, of course, special attack and physical attack, because I was running Gunk Shot, Dark Pulse, Low Kick, and Hydro Pump with the Life Orb. Basically, I had enough investment so that Greninja was able to kill any form of Sylveon with Hydro Pump plus Gunk Shot, which is very nice, and then it just destroyed his entire team otherwise. The only way he could revenge me, of course, is Lopunny, but I had a terrible matchup, so I wasn't really expecting it. A Scarf user and like possibly Staraptor or Talonflame, and Talonflame should be fearing Water Shuriken, so it had a beautiful matchup, and then I definitely knew that this team was going to put in work, but it was extremely weak to Gengar, so I had to be really careful to Gengar and try to pressure it with my Greninja as much as possible, whether I was making doubles or just being very smart with how I play around it. So that was my reasoning. And then as we hide these rosters, going into the battle, and I saw the 6 that he brought being Latias, Sylveon, Gengar, Talonflame, Rotom, and Regirock. I was kind of surprised at Talonflame, but at the same time I knew he was going to bring one form of bird spam. Regirock, of course, not a surprise. Rotom, not a surprise. Sylveon, not a surprise. Latias, not a surprise. Gengar, not a surprise. So Talonflame was just more so like being a possible switch out with Staraptor and whatnot. So I was expecting that, but seeing the Rotom, like I mentioned, I already had to lead off with my Charizard and get the Mega Evolution off, just so I can deal with Rotom very easily. The only way Rotom is a like a real pain in my Mega Charizard X is if he does have T-Wave, but I'm not going to worry about that too much because I don't really know if that would fit for my team nonetheless. He does lead off with his Rotom, so this has me reason to believe that it might be Scarf. So I'm just going to Mega Evolve here and go for my D-Claw, because if he does, you know, Volt Switch out versus me, I'm still able to get off a Dragon Claw versus the Regirock, which is free chip, to where I'm wearing it down eventually for Charizard to, you know, get a sweep in. But as I Mega Evolve, go for the Dragon Claw. He does stay in with Rotom, showing he only takes 50% from this. It does prove he is at least a max HP Rotom. He could have some spit off, but he doesn't really have any defense, as he just opts to go for the Discharge, which is interesting. He switches out here as, I believe I just opted to click Dragon Claw again. Yes, I just opted to click Dragon Claw again with my Mega Charizard X, knowing Regirock was still going to come in, but I could easily deal with it here. Now, there's a double right here. I decide to go into my Greninja, because it deals with Regirock. He should be going for Stealth Rocks here, because Togekiss is weak to rocks, and it is my Defogger, but he decides to make a double instead. Probably would have been better for him to get our rocks pretty early, but he decided to go into Gengar. He was obviously predicting Toxapex to switch into Regirock there and trying to get Gengar in to just basically claim a kill, because Gengar could be Thunder Z this matchup, which is really scary. He opts to go into Greninja, which is pretty interesting. I clicked Hydro Pump once again in case he went Sylveon, considering Hydro Pump into Gunk Shot will take out the Sylveon. But he does go into Lottie here, which is pretty smart. A little risky, but it is smart, I suppose. And he goes into Sylveon here, now on the incoming Dark Pulse, which is a clever play. Now as we go for this Dark Pulse, this does absolutely nothing to Sylveon, showing he is a max special defense variant, which is pretty interesting. I understand that's somewhat of a counter to Greninja and Alakazam, but I don't think he remembers Gunk Shot. I'm not going to go for it right here, because there is a chance I do not knock him out, and I do not want to risk that since Greninja puts in so much work versus his team. But he does just opt to go for the Wish, so there's a chance I could have done something there. It's perfectly fine. As we are in here with Toxapex, I know he's probably going to switch out. I don't really know into what yet. If he wants to go Gengar, I'm willing to risk that. But he does opt to go into the Rotom, which I was more predicting since Rotom was low on health. So I just opted to go for the Toxic in case he also wanted to go on the Latias. I was predicting the Rotom or the Latias, but I was risking Gengar coming in on the Toxic and whatnot. So as he gets his health back up, he's Toxic now, so that's fine. We're still wearing him down. As of right here, I just wanted to make this switch into Charizard. It is always my designated switch into this Rotom. It would have been nice if I had Roost, however, but I couldn't afford it since I still wanted setup. As he goes for the HP Ice here, predicting the Lando T, that's perfectly fine. Right now, I am predicting like a Volt Switch, and I'm going to go right into my Lando. He was either going to Volt Switch or he was going to go into Regirock, so I felt like Lando was a really nice play here. And as we come in, you know, takes the Intimate, he just goes for another Discharge, which is interesting. So as he goes down again, I do not want to risk him being a speedy Rotom, even though he does have a lot of HP. It could be bulky. I don't want to risk him being just like HP with enough speed and stuff like that. And my Lando didn't really have any speed at all, so I'm going to go into Toxapex here on the possible Hidden Power Ice. As he goes into his Regirock. This is perfectly fine, because I'm just once again going to go right into my Greninja, as he opts to make a double going into Rotom once again. So this puts us in a great position, because Gunk Shot into anything will pick up a kill versus his team. As the Greninja does come out, which is very nice. I really abuse Dan here, because he should have gotten Rocks up versus me early, because I'm allowed to make all these doubles with Greninja, and it's just going to be able to do so much work. As he comes into Sylveon, he is coming in on my Gunk Shot, and as we land this absolute nuke on Sylveon, it takes it down to like 1 health, which is ridiculous. We got a pretty high roll on that, in my opinion, so... But at this point, he is in Dark Pulse range. If he opted to Protect, I would have to risk either Hydro Pump or Gunk Shot versus him again, which would suck. But luckily he didn't, so he just let Sylveon go down, as Dark Pulse did pick up the kill. Now Sylveon goes down, he makes an interesting play in the Lottie. So I'm like, okay, is this Lottie Scarf? Because I haven't seen an item from it before. It's either Scarf or Colbert. That's at least what he's trying, or what he is, or his bluff right now. Because Talonflame is a free switch in since there's no rocks on my side of the field, or his side of the field, sorry. But as he goes for the Roost here, I'm like, okay, he's definitely not Scarf, he's possibly Colbert, so I just need to keep that in mind. As I go into Togekiss here versus his Latias, I know he's going to switch into his Regirock here, so I'm going to make another double going into my Lando T. Lando T just seemed pretty nice here because I really want to get up my rocks now, because I'm realizing KyleAye can definitely put in work once I get up the rocks and whatnot. If I can get the necessary setup versus him. So as we're in here versus the Regirock, I properly clicked U-turn as he was going to switch, which is very nice. Oh, yeah, I didn't click Stealth Rocks yet, so that was a lie. There's so many plays here with me and Dan just making doubles and whatnot. But as he goes into Rotom on my U-turn, he does take it down, brings him down to his Mako Berry, which is very nice tech. Sometimes the berry is just always better than leftovers for a team. But I'm just going to go into Charizard. Even though my Declaw will not kill from this range, I'm just going to opt to go for a Flare Blitz. If he goes into Regirock, it's fine. I still get necessary chip, and there's a chance I get a burn off versus him, which would be pretty funny. As you go into the Regirock here, he will just absolutely eat this Flare Blitz, like 1,000,000%. And right here, I knew he could have possibly predicted Greninja coming in and getting off the Stone Edge, so I wasn't going to risk that double again. So right now I'm just going to go into my Lando T, and which takes it on pretty well. And if he does opt to go for these Stealth Rocks, then I can either get up some of my own, or I can just opt for a free Earthquake versus his team, or just get more U-turn momentum. But he does opt to get these Stealth Rocks up right here. As I am in with Lando, I'm just going to opt to stay in and get up my Stealth Rocks versus him, because I'm expecting him to click Stone Edge like I already mentioned, because I have been pulling a lot of doubles so far, so if he just gets chips on anything that's coming in after rocks now, it's very free for him, so it was very smart for him to get up hazards. He clicks Stone Edge and unfortunately misses. That will kind of hurt him a little bit later on, but not too much necessarily. As I go for the U-turn here versus Regirock, showing I'm not Scarf Lando. But I'm laughing about that now because you'll see it later. But Regirock stays in. I'm just going to go right into Toxapex. Absolutely eats anything and scares this boy out. So he just opts to go for the Stone Edge versus Toxapex. And I'm going to pull another double, of course, after he gets his leftovers recovery. So once again, he will switch out, he will go into Rotom, and I will make the proper switch of going into Greninja, because once again, Greninja picks up a kill versus legitimately everything. Talonflame, of course, threatens me out, but he does not know that, and he wouldn't risk it coming in freely on rocks anyways versus Toxapex, so Greninja was the best double to make. As he goes into Rotom here, I went for Dark Pulse. If he was just HP, no Spidef, this was a roll, but he did show afterwards that he was a Spidef, or sorry, no, if he wasn't any Spidef, it was a for sure kill. But he was HP with around 172 Spidef, so this was a roll, so that crit could have mattered, but at the same time it was a roll, so it wasn't too bad for him. It's just still kind of unfortunate. I just really didn't want to risk a Gunk Shot there missing. So right here I'm going to go into my Togekiss, and this is actually going to let me scout whether this is a Colbert or a more of an offensive Lottie. I know it probably wouldn't be Scar first, but as he goes for the Psychic, he does show damage. At the time I calc this, I'm like, okay, he's a boosting item. So I knew he was a boosting item, but at the same time, you'll see. So he was definitely Soldo here, but as he goes for the Calm Mind, as I stick in with Togekiss and just get off my roost, I really wanted to click Defog. That was the main reason for me going Togekiss, but at the same time, I just couldn't risk it. Like, because I really want rocks up for that Talonflame. I'm trying to set up KyleAye right here for the end game. It's just not going to work. Right here was an awful play. An awful play. I was predicting Electric Z, so I was going into Lando. Little did I forget, Dan is the only person with a Latias on his team that does not make Latias his Z user. So, I go into Lando here. I guess he forgot, luckily, as he went for a second Calm Mind, he forgot that my Lando was not Scarf, as he predicted. That was the only other reason I would go Lando here, according to his reasoning, which is true. As I just go for the U-turn on the Lottie, and luckily we get off a lot of damage versus this thing as he clicked Roost being scared. If he clicked Psychic, my Lando would have went down. We would have been in an awful position. Togekiss still ate a +2 Psychic from a Soldo Lottie, but it would have been really low and I would have just been Encored. Togekiss would have died later on, as I would have had to go into Greninja or something like that. But as we go into Greninja here, Gunk Shot does kill. If he did have some more defense investment than predicted, then it could have been a roll. I was actually scared. My calc, even though my set was Torrent, even in the build it was Torrent, when I put in the calc, it was making Greninja Protean. So, like, some calcs were doing a lot more damage. I'm like, wow, Gunk Shot does like 60% to Latias? I'll take that. Yeah, no. But right here, he's just going to every part of his team that isn't Talonflame because he is fearing that I am Water Shuriken. But I do have to have that low kick in order for the Empoleon. So he will be just going into Regirock, hoping as a Hydro Pump, and now he will be going into Gengar. As I just click Dark Pulse and we kill the Gengar, hoping I will go down to Life Orb, but we will live on 1 HP because our health investment is at 149. If you do not know, if your Life Orb HP is at 9, then you get more hits out of Life Orb, which is very nice. He goes into Talonflame here. I can't risk him just like blowing something back, even though I could still go for differential, but I know I can definitely get a 5-0 if I just let Gren go down and not risk it. So I'm just going to stay in here as he just goes for the Fly Z in case I did opt to go into Lando or Toxapex, which was very smart of him. As Talonflame goes for this really nice animation, Greninja will be going down from 1 HP to 0. But Greninja put in so much work this game, picking up 5 kills, which is really awesome. So we're just going to Lando here to clean it up. We come in on Stealth Fox, which is fine. We get off our Intimidate, which is very important. Rock Slide will always KO him, even if he does try to Roost Stall. Even if he Will-O-Wisp here, Rock Slide will kill. He's the opposite to go for the HP Ice, which is cool tech, bringing us down to pretty low health. That is where the Stone Edge would have mattered with Regirock. It basically just would have changed the differential of this game. If he was SD, Roost, Brave Bird, and stuff like that, he could have 1v1 the rest of my team and actually probably won. But luckily for us, he wasn't, because Toxapex still could have took that on in the end. He did not have Roost, so he was not going to be able to deal with the team for any longer. So luckily we do pull out a win versus Dan when I almost choked versus that Calm Mind Lottie, and he was mad that he choked that game because he didn't click Psychic versus Lando. He most likely would have won if he did just click Psychic versus my Lando, which really would have sucked. But luckily, even though we choked, it still helped us in the end. Hopefully not going to ever do that again, but picking up a 5-0 is so nice because the division is pretty packed. I'm not going to give any spoilers to what happened for week 2 for the other people in my division, such as KyleAye and Jacob. As always, just make sure to check out their battles, just see how they did, just to see how our division is doing close-wise. Definitely liking this team so far, as I did put in work right now. Hoping to continue it next week when we will be taking on 6-foot Hacks or Leo and the Durham Druddigons. I'm really looking forward to this match, but it is going to be tough, so look forward to that next week, as well as to make sure to check out my Pokemon 4 Glory Next Generation draft analysis. Very hyped to start off that league. It'll be starting very soon. Check what I drafted. I'm very hyped about it, and give your thoughts about it as well. And of course, check out my SDL, which will be up as of yesterday. So that'll be it for me this week. Make sure to sub, like, share, deuces.